everybody. My name is Kerry Lane. I'm with Union of American Physicians and Dentists. As we all know, Buffalo is a union town. It was built by union labor and thrives because of union labor. The University of Buffalo and its 10 affiliated hospitals are no different. The faculty at UB are unionized. Support staff are unionized. Technicians, security officers, medical assistants, cleaning crew, cooks, and nurses are all unionized. Buffalo is a union town because we believe in fairness, and Buffalo's 830 resident physicians also want to make their workplace more fair. So they unionized with UAPD last year and began collective bargaining for their first contract. We expected SUNY's flagship university to respect our desire for fairness. We expected dignity from the hospitals, where UB resident physicians work tirelessly on night shifts, through blizzards, through pandemics, sometimes 80 hours per week in what amounts to less than minimum wage. Unfortunately, after a year of collective bargaining for a fair contract, Buffalo's frontline providers have been disrespected and remain the lowest paid resident physicians in New York State. We have endured unfair labor practices, bullying, dirty call rooms, dangerous parking lots, no lunch breaks, minimum wage salaries, retaliation, a painful deduction of health care benefits, withdrawn salary offers, bargaining in bad faith, no retirement plans, no training stipends, and perhaps worst of all, silence from UB and the hospitals, who are hiding behind a shell company and their lawyers. Today, we are here to tell the well-compensated hospital executives and UB leaders, both of whom refuse to come to the bargaining table, enough. The 830 resident physicians that stand behind me at UB have overwhelmingly authorized a strike to protect ourselves, to protect our families, and to protect the community. We encourage the community to stand with us in our fight to improve our workplace and help us serve you the best we can. Because this is Buffalo, and in Buffalo, fairness matters. We will hear from the resident physicians, our sister unions, and local dignitaries, but we will begin with Robert Boreanaz and Candace Morrison, UAPD lead negotiator.
12 months we've been at the bargaining table. 12 months with a shell company attempting to lift the wages and the benefits of these 830 residents throughout Western New York. Who is this shell company? Well, the shell company lists as its business address the Jacobs School of Medicine. It lists as its phone number a phone that's answered by the Jacobs School of Medicine. That's UB. The shell company has zero employees. No human resource, no accountants, no bookkeepers, zero. The only corporate officer listed for this shell company is Dr. Timothy Grable, Grabyel, a primary care doctor on Ridge Road in West Seneca. We haven't seen him. He's a mystery. We have no idea who he is and what he does with URMS, this shell company. So who's really behind this shell company? Well, not too much of a mystery. The shell company lawyers tell us when they're bargaining at the table explicitly this: any explicit proposal requires a vote and approval of the area affiliate hospitals, all of them here in Western New York. These hospitals are propping up this shell company. Kaleida, ECMC, Roswell, the VA, UB, MD, Physicians Group, Catholic Health, and more. They should be ashamed. Should they not be ashamed? Yes. The bargaining sessions with this shell company are like dealing with a bad car salesman They can't make a deal without going back to the affiliated hospitals. They're playing games with us. Make no mistake, these hospitals generate millions of dollars off the backs of these residents.
Right.
In June, they took away some of their health care coverage. The previous year, they took away additional health care coverage. And just last week, we went to the bargaining table and they withdrew economic proposals to lift these residents out from the basement of the wage throughout the state of New York. They should be ashamed of themselves, and they can no longer hide behind the curtain of this shell company. We intend to use every available tool at our disposal. These residents have authorized a strike to leave their jobs with this shell company, to gain respect and as an opposition and protest to the unfair labor practice charges, and to bring attention to the community for the bargaining that has been so unfair at the table. This shell company must be stopped, and the community must be aware of this. Ask your doctors, ask your hospital physicians, ask everyone, ask questions. Thank you for coming, there's people here. Find out why this is happening and why our community is suffering. Candace?
Thank you to everyone who's here today. Can we just for a moment acknowledge the turnout that we have? These residents who've taken time from their jobs to come out and stand up for their rights. My name is Candace Morrison. I'm one of the attorneys at the table bargaining the contract for these residents. As my colleagues have shared, we are here in support of the medical residents and fellows that provide care to the Western New York community day in and day out. These residents are integral and indispensable to the health care in Western New York. If you or your loved ones have been to a hospital in our region, you are likely cared for by a resident. Now is our chance to say thank you. Thank you to the residents that have cared for our sick children, spouses, partners, parents, grandparents, loved ones. What the residents are asking for in exchange for their labor, our demands are incredibly basic. A decent wage, affordable health care. I have spoken to more residents than I can count who cannot afford to go to the hospitals they work in because of the health insurance that their employer is providing to them. Think about that for a moment. We have to think about paying rent for going to the hospital. Do you want your healthcare provider, your doctor in the emergency room, to have to do that calculus?
That ain't right.
It is not right. It is not. Is it right? No. Would you want any patient to have to think about paying rent or going and getting your services? No, absolutely not. So what we're asking for is incredibly basic. Decent wage, affordable health care, and basic dignity and respect in the workplace. What everyone here today would anticipate and want from their employer. So we are here standing up for our residents. To quote another famous labor leader out there, standing up for our residents in Western New York. Please listen to them. Care for them like they care for you. To the employer and the stakeholders, this is what we want. A decent wage, affordable health care, basic dignity and respect in the workplace, a fair contract now. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's hard to believe we're still here after a year of bargaining. Unfortunately, we don't have much to show for it, do we? No. The faceless shell company that is my employer, UMRS, appears more interested in dragging its feet to appease stakeholders than working with us to an amicable contract. What's frustrating about this waiting game is knowing that it's possible to pay a resident physician a livable salary and provide substantial benefits in a hospital system not too far from here. As of this academic year, a first-year resident in Rochester will make $8,000 more than a resident physician in the same position in Buffalo. This is in addition to the numerous workplace benefits Buffalo residents further do not share in. To be clear, if this resistance to increasing our benefits were a function of our work or a debate over our performance, we'd be having an entirely different conversation. But it's not. We provide excellent health care. For significant amounts of time, we are the only doctors available at the hospitals around here. Hospitals like ECMC, the VA, and here at Buffalo General. We look after your loved ones when they're at their weakest. We stretch ourselves thin to do what's best for our patients. Despite all this, not once have we asked to work less or do less. What we're asking for is good health care and comparable wages. And after a year, we've seen nothing but resistance, delays, and a failure to bargain meaningfully. Make no mistake, come September 3rd, when we strike, the powers that be are going to blame us. 831 physicians. They're going to say we jeopardize care. They're going to say we have a moral obligation to go back to work. They're going to play on our innate sense of empathy for our patients. But let me say out loud what we all know is true. When we strike, every patient that receives inadequate care here, every second more a patient waits in the ER, every stress that is on our healthcare colleagues, and every family member of yours who suffers from this work disruption is the result of corporate greed and the continued decision not to do what is right and nothing more.
It is such an honor to represent the pediatrics residents and fellows here today. In the field of pediatrics, we take care of the most vulnerable population in our country, children. And so advocacy is a major cornerstone of our field. And I think that we are the best advocates and caretakers for our community when we are able to take care of our own family and ourselves. When I came into Buffalo when I was applying, I was offered cost-free health care on the website. I was advertised to all the applicants. But when I arrived and was applying for health care, all that was available was a high deductible plan that me and my family could not afford. I'm not the only one who went through this, and my co-residents tell me about how they have to go without medications. They have to go without regular appointments for chronic conditions, and they live in fear of the complications and accidents that normal people have every day that we take care of. So, I think it's time that QB, UMRS, Lyda Health, and ECMC make that right and provide us with what we need to take care of our lovely community in Buffalo. Additionally, I would like to speak to incoming applicants. I was where you are just a year ago. I would like to plead for a bit more time. I know that Buffalo maybe doesn't seem like the best place for you to be right now, but we're fighting. And I want you to watch what happens in our next upcoming bargaining session on the 1st and the one after that. Wait for us to make things better. Let us make this place a place that deserves you to be here, where you get to take care of patients with us. Thank you.
I know the podium's taller than me, and I apologize for that. I hate that I'm here again. I was on camera not too long ago, hopeful that negotiations would go in the direction that would respect the doctors that work here and improve the conditions so that we can take care of the patients in Buffalo. My name's Amy Beatty. I am a Buffalo trained physician. I moved here 12 years ago. I went to medical school here. I finished my residency here, and I am now a fellow in pain management, trying to help people who come to the hospital in intractable pain because of cancer. I really can't believe I'm standing in front of here telling you, unfortunately, that the negotiations have not gone well. We get the runaround. I don't think we're asking for much. All we ask for is salaries that are on par
with other training positions. We're not asking for more. We're asking that the residency program allows physicians in their free time, if they have it, to make extra money on the side, to moonlight so they can support the families that they live with. Because the salaries here do not support growing families. I'm not the only person who checks their credit card statement to make sure that my groceries don't bounce when I go to tap my card at the grocery store. I know I'm not the only one. As negotiations have continued to fall apart, we're asking for UB to come to the table. I've asked the deans personally, sent emails saying, please, come advocate for us. I come to work every single day with the rest of my colleagues to take care of the sick, regardless of whether they can pay or not pay. My daughters and I wake up 6 o'clock every morning so I can leave by 6:55 because for the last 2 weeks, I've had to jump start my car. I don't have time to go take care of these little basic necessities. Because if I don't come into work by 7 or 7:30 and see the patients that are inpatient, then see a full day of clinic patients, the patients that I take care of suffer. We have never asked for less hours. We have never asked for less rigorous training, and we have never complained about the training here in Buffalo. What we're asking for so I want to set the record straight. If you don't want to come to the table with UMRS, then come to the table with us. Dr. Bashir quoted in the news article that she supported us having higher wages. So please, come to the table with us. Show us that you support us. Average wages for a flagship state institution. These are the hospitals that I work for. Roswell, Kaleida, BJ's right there, lets me into Oshai. Here's my VA badge. Here's my doctor's tag from ECMC. These are the places that I serve the community of Buffalo. And my colleagues do the same every single day. So, I don't want to strike. None of my colleagues want to strike. But I don't know what else we can do at this point. So please, help us avert this strike. Come to the table. Negotiate with us. We have already given up so many of the things that we asked for. Basic things, retirement plans, stipends, educational stipends to pay for our textbooks. We've given up meal stipends. And yet, what we're given is a reduction in the offer of wages, while my colleagues get their insurance benefits cut. So, I hope I'm never here again, all right? And I'm really proud of these positions. I really hope that we can avert this strike. And, you know, I asked Buffalo, the communities here, all of our colleagues that are standing behind me today, and everybody who uses these hospitals, please support us. All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm vertically challenged here, and I think a lot of you know that because I am now a stranger to press conferences or standing up and fighting for working people's issues. So I just want to commit to all of you that CWA in general, and especially 1168, is committed to work with you. We have done this over and over again. I hospital because that's where I went to school, in awe of what those nurses were doing at that time. And then most recently, I was at the bargaining table with the Catholic Health System that put South Buffalo Mercy out on strike. And you were right. None of us want to strike. And if we're not going to strike, that is solely in the hands of the employer, whoever that may be, until we figure that out. Right? But Kalida and the Catholic Health System and the medical school all have a piece in this, right? In the right? In the doctors. I'm going to tell you guys something. Please, when you are attending, support your staff, the nurses. Because when we are threatening to go out on strike or we're in heated negotiations, I can promise you the doctors aren't exactly our friends. Because if we walk out, their pocketbooks are going to get hurt. Because non-emergent and elective stuff, surgeries and stuff like that, will be put off. And that hurts their income. So there are buddies until things get really heated at the bargaining table. So don't let them blame you. Okay, I've sat across bargaining tables where they try to blame us as union leaders, not even our members, union leaders, because they forget that the union is every one of these residents, just like it's every one of our healthcare workers, every job title we have in these buildings. It is up, that's why we have to give a 10-day notice so that they can prepare. And guess what? People are not going to get hurt because what they're going to have to do is cancel a lot of elective stuff, which a lot of it is in there. And they'll have resources to handle diversions to maybe other facilities, or the doctors are going to have to come in and they're going to have to work and they're going to have to be in the hospital on call at night to deal with their issues, the issues that all of you deal with when they're home sleeping. That's right.
That's right.
I've watched so many residents grow up. My brother is a physician. I remember when he was a resident and the stories, the horror stories that we heard, and then I witnessed it as a registered nurse at the bedside. The long hours, the work that you guys do, the attendings depend on you, these hospitals depend on you, the nurses and all other healthcare professionals depend on you, the way you depend on us. So we must all stick together, always, we must stick together. And let this be a bond that we have moving forward for generations to come. We will all go and become attendings. Remember it.
Don't forget.
So let's build these generations, right? To be up here and supporting. And I have to say something. Elected officials, my political action team, I think Sarah's here. We will go back. I'm getting on the phone. I want to know where they are, okay? Because it's just important as they support us that they support the residents. So those calls will stay. Sarah, bring it in. And the other issue is I am committed. I'm committed to my local. I will talk to the district, and whatever we can do. We're heading into negotiations relatively soon with Kalida and the Catholic Health System. So if people don't know that, we're all expiring within 2 weeks of each other. So we're going into hard negotiations at the beginning of the year. So let us know. We're here. We have your buttons on. You want to orchestrate a picket somewhere. You want to go to Dr. Whoever. We find his house. We can go there. We have done so many fun things together to get people to the bargaining table. And these guys, let me tell you, the way they work and they can't get health care, you got to keep them healthy. They're taking care of your loved ones. They're taking care of our patients. And they have to be healthy. They have to have safe working conditions. The years of being a martyr to get their residency done and graduated and is over with. Okay, this is not 40 years ago. We have to stop. Thank you.
My name is Sarah Marino, and I'm the administrative organizer, as you said, from 1199, representing thousands of hospital workers across Western New York. 1199 SEIU members stand in solidarity across New York State with the University of Buffalo resident physicians and fellows. As healthcare workers, the decision to strike is never easy. Despite bargaining over the last year with no movement on wages, specifically that they are the lowest paid in New York State, along with drastic reductions to healthcare benefits, the workers stood up for themselves to have a voice regarding their working conditions. These physicians and fellows are the future of healthcare and the services they provide to their patients and the community. We will continue to support their fight and their right to negotiate a fair and equitable fair contract. They deserve respect and dignity for the hard work and long hours they provide to our community every day. I stand with Corey, and at 1199 will support you in any way that we can.
I'm going to spin this in a bit of a different direction. So we're here, we stand side by side with our union brothers and sisters to advocate for patient safety. That's what it boils down to. Working conditions affect patient safety. The residents that are making decisions on your loved ones are being exploited by a corporation that continues to bargain in bad faith, fueled by corporate greed yet again. While the administrative waste perpetuates a broken healthcare system and the CEO counts dollars, these residents are counting compressions on a code that they're racing to the OR. Your loved ones. They're asking for 8 hours off between a shift, competitive wage, a decent medical coverage. Administration goes home by 4 p.m. while the resident tries to find a room in an overcrowded shared space for 20 minutes to nap. It's time to fight for the staff that are fighting to keep your loved ones safe. Your family's outcome is directly affected by the working conditions the residents endure.
Yes.
Whether a patient takes their first breath or their last, it will never be a CEO at that bedside. And to my UAPD family, don't waver. Know your worth. Continue to fight for what you deserve. You are the foundation of patient safety, and we will always stand with you.
Good afternoon. My name is Austin Morgan. I'm the field coordinator for the West New York Area Labor Federation, and on behalf of our 145,000 union members and retirees across Western New York, I want to echo the words of some of my brothers and sisters behind me. Fair contract now!
Fair contract now! Fair contract now! Fair contract now!
More than a year after voting to unionize, it is past time for a contract that gives our resident physicians what they deserve. What would our region do without world-class medical care being provided by resident physicians and other healthcare workers in this region? How frightening would our future be if physicians were so poorly treated here in Buffalo that they were forced to leave after finishing their residency? And most importantly, why can't the UB and Jacobs School of Medicine get it through their heads that workers who save lives every day, who were once called our healthcare heroes, why can't they understand that these workers have deserved some respect? In this case, that respect means good faith negotiations, it means family sustaining benefits, and it means a fair share of the millions upon millions of dollars that flow through these facilities. What our UAPD siblings are fighting for is no different than workers in any other sector or industry. They're fighting for fair wages, job security, and for their employer to keep their promises. In order to ensure that healthcare of the highest quality remains accessible to all here in Buffalo, it is time to invest in our workers, the resident physicians that keep that promise to their patients in our community with their labor every single day. We know the choice to strike is difficult for workers. We all know these physicians would damn well rather be in taking care of their patients than standing out here today calling on UB to do what's right. So let me speak directly to those of you standing in our way. The members of UAPD and the working people of New York are watching. It is time to get back to the bargaining table and give these workers not just what they deserve, but what they've earned. To everyone here today, and to our union siblings everywhere, the Western New York labor movement stands with you. We're with you in this fight. Solidarity now and forever.
Any questions?
Yeah. How do you actually go about then getting what you're asking for if you're dealing with this shell corporation? Like, what needs to happen?
Well, the affiliate hospitals behind the scenes need to give authorization to the shell company to provide fair wages and benefits. That's simple. Phone calls, come to the bargaining table if they want with us, we'll invite them. We've invited them many times. They refuse to come.
So when you're at the bargaining table, who's there?
We have a lawyer, a group of lawyers, okay, that haven't had any hospital administration responsibilities. We talk about things at the bargaining table. These lawyers have no idea what they're talking about. They don't understand the healthcare system. They don't understand the skills that are necessary. And the hospital administrators and the other people from UBGME stand behind the curtain. They need to pay attention and they need to make the phone calls and give the shell company authority to bring us fair wages and benefits. Bring attention to the community of the unfair labor practices that we're experiencing.
That's it. You do not want to apply pressure on your contract negotiator.
No, we hope to bring attention to the unfair labor practices that the shell company employer is engaging in, to bring attention to that so that they stop those unfair labor practices. If they did stop those unfair labor practices, if they bargained in good faith, if they stopped taking away benefits of ours, we could reach an agreement. That's what we want. We want to reach an agreement. We don't want to strike, and we want to stop them from engaging in these unfair labor practices.
The 2-day strike is about awareness, not pressure on workers.
It's about bringing awareness to these unfair labor practices. You're going to watch...
And patient safety.
And patient safety. You're going to watch these residents put their signs down. You know where they're going to go? They're going to go back to the hospitals because they're dedicated people. They're going to walk back in and spend another 6 hours maybe, or however long it takes to care for their patients. So thank you for coming, and thank you for listening, and thank you for asking questions. And